Hey there, welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology for May 8th through the 14th. And this week we have a lot of astrology aspects around new information being revealed to you. So this can be new insights, new awarenesses, and it's all around becoming more clear, especially around circumstances that have come up over the past couple of weeks. So continuing to receive new information, to have a sense of greater clarity, and to sort of like untangle any confusion that has happened over the last couple of weeks. My name is Shawna McGrath. I'm an astrologer, and I'm excited to share the astrology of this week with you. So first, what we have happening is the Sun in Taurus will make a conjunction with Uranus. So this means that these two bodies come together at the same point in the zodiac, in the sky. And this is an aspect that's about self-reinvention. It's around renewing your sense of vitality and also having divine insight, having new intuitions, and intuition in a very rapid and radical type of way. This is because the Sun is associated with our life force, our vitality, our success, our career, the part of ourselves that we want to shine, that we want to, how and where and when we want to be seen or not seen. And the Sun is just that energy that animates us. It's our spirit, our soul, our divine and unique life force. Now, when the Sun comes into aspect with Uranus, it shows a reinvention, a renewing, and a radical shift. So this can be doing things in a way that's very different from your norm, from your social norm, the norm in your community or your family system. But it's really about reinvention in some way. And because this is in the sign of Taurus, it tells me that this change is happening in a more practical kind of way. Like there may be something that is physical or material about this. And this is really important too. We've had so much energy around Taurus in the astrology recently. So we are having Mercury retrograde in Taurus. We are having Uranus move through Taurus. Very soon we're going to have Jupiter move into Taurus later this month, or next week, I believe it is. And we're also going to have a new moon in Taurus soon. So there's a lot of energy here in this area of the sky and also in this area of your chart. So if we were doing an astrology consultation and I were looking at your astrology chart, we would really be looking at the house that rules Taurus, what that house signifies, and what other aspects these planets are making. So I'm saying that because usually when this happens, there's an area of life where there's an emphasis around where this area of life is really calling your attention, or maybe it requires more effort or work from you. But this week there's this theme of reinvention, spontaneity, doing things differently. And I really encourage you to embrace that and to look for, because sometimes Uranus can feel disruptive, especially if it's like, if we're thinking about Uranus in transit to your Sun, it can feel inconvenient to change sometimes. So as much as we can, it really helps us to embrace spontaneity and to see how we can roll with the changes that are happening. Now, this week, another aspect that I really like for us that feels very supportive is that Venus will make a trine to Saturn. And we like this because Venus is about relationships, love, beauty, harmony, sex, sensuality. Venus is about the things that we're attracted to or repulsed by. And Venus tells us what we find soothing and calming to our nervous system, what we find beautiful. And Saturn is about structure, boundaries, our physical existence. So Saturn helps bring form to things. Saturn helps us to create. Saturn helps us to not only have boundaries, but to have loving boundaries and to create and foster new life. Now, when Venus makes a trine to Saturn, when I was looking at this, I was like feeling like this is like the birth of a new thing, because trine is an easy and flowing and very harmonious aspect. This is also happening in water signs. So Venus is in Cancer and Saturn is in Pisces. So it feels like there's an ease of creation, an ease of putting something into place, or creating or shoring up more structure or more boundaries, or a more secure attachment in relationship. So this feels like really secure, I think, is like a good keyword for this aspect. So this can be having conversations with people. This can be clearing the air. I think especially while we've been experiencing Mercury retrograde, which is about restructuring our thought process and our technical processes, Venus-Saturn can sort of like help us really put the new structures into place that we're building, or that we're creating, or that we're revising. So that feels very supportive. And the other thing that's happening this week is that Mercury will station direct. So this means that it will no longer be retrograde as of Sunday, May 14th. And so we always think of the astrology and the transits and the aspects as like tides flowing in and out. So it's not like a light switch, like Mercury's direct, done, good, a new page is turned. It's not necessarily like that, because Mercury, when it stations direct, it's still at this point in the sky for a very long time, because it's still moving very slowly. So we can also think of a Mercury retrograde as like you're driving a car. So when Mercury is direct, you're driving forward. Let's say you're going like 20 miles an hour in a residential zone, and you need to go backwards. So what you're going to do is you're going to slow down, and then you're going to shift gears to go backwards. And then you're going to slowly start to go backwards. And then when you want to go forwards again, you're going to slow down and then shift gears and then slowly move forward again. So that's sort of like the vibe, the energy. So it's not like you go from moving backwards quickly to moving forwards quickly. I hope that makes sense. So what does all of that mean for us? So that means that all of the reflection and introspection that we've done, and like technical changes that we've noticed in our lives that we want to implement, all of that stuff that's been kicked up into our awareness, now is the time where we're sort of like sorting through things, and we're like, okay, now it feels like we know more of what it is that we need to do, and then we can move forward and do that. Or there's simply a clarity around what it is that you want. And I feel like this Mercury retrograde was very connected to how we focus our energy, because it coincided with eclipse season. And eclipse season tends to reveal where maybe we've been like missing something or not seeing things clearly. And so I feel like this Mercury retrograde, as we move into the direct phase, the direct part of Mercury's journey, is that we're going to sort of like course correct in some areas. And so I want you to be noticing what kind of things have been kicked up the last couple of weeks, and where it feels like you're being called to make a change or to more deeply devote yourself to something. And And to keep in mind that this is all a part of the process and the journey, I think too. I think that sometimes when we have Mercury retrograde, it's like, oh, these things have gone wrong. This email got fucked up, or this thing broke, or whatever. But it's like these are all ways of Psyche communicating to us. And I think that for myself at least, this idea of like, oh, this went wrong is a judgment, because there's this underlying unconscious belief that everything should be smooth and perfect and nothing should ever go wrong. There should never be any mistakes. And I think that Mercury reminds us in its trickstery kind of way that that something that looks like a mistake, maybe, it just is. So I'm thinking of, I posted this on Instagram that I had to send this email to a person that I don't know, that I want to make a good impression on. And so I sent the email. I had it all drafted, and there was something wrong with my email server that I use for some reason. And so I didn't send it. I sent it somewhere else. And then I forgot that I did that. And then I accidentally sent it like 2 more times. And I'm just like, oh my God, what the fuck? And I was thinking, I was so embarrassed. I was like so embarrassed. But then, that's the feeling of shame, of like feeling like I'm wrong or bad in some way. I did something wrong. And that error, there's a belief that error means something about me at a core level, which is false, right? As I was sitting with it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just communicating to me how important this is to me, how much I want to connect with this person, and how much I want this interaction to go well. And so, and then, just kind of like laugh at myself. And so I'm sharing this with you because I think that we can start to look at the ways in which we are making mistakes or something goes wrong, and to look at that in a more symbolic way, which is Mercury. Mercury is the planet of symbolism, of symbolic communication. And what that error or that mistake, like what is it that's actually happening if we look at it more symbolically? If we like really pull back and see what is the nature of the event? What is it that has happened? And what does that mean? Like, what is that, what is Psyche communicating to me? What am I communicating to myself through that? Okay, so let's pull some cards for you. So I'm pulling 3 cards, and I like to use our divination as much as possible. So if you want to pick a number between 1 and 3 as you hold either an intention or a question or a topic, and ask your spiritual guidance team, your benevolent ancestors to communicate with you in a way that you can understand. Okay. First card, so this is from the Muse Tarot. First card is the High Priestess. And this card has an image of a figure from like the shoulders up, and they're sort of like have this cloak that's covering one half of their face, and there's all of these runes around them. There's a moon. The High Priestess is about the unknown. The High Priestess is about the mysteries of the unseen. And I pulled this card reversed. So this to me is saying that there's either something that's hidden, and or there's like a resistance to allowing the mysteries to, like, how do I say, what am I feeling here? I feel like this card is talking about trying to figure things out logically when that is not how we're going to feel better or to gain the information. This card is saying, don't try to figure it out, because there is no way that you can figure it out. There's a broader web of events and a broader timeline, and there are things that we will never know the answers to. There are things that are beyond our ability to understand. The second card is the Fool. So 2 major arcanas here. So the Fool is all about, and I pulled this up right, so the Fool is all about taking a leap of faith, moving into the unknown. And the Fool has this essence of playfulness, this essence of like really going in with a beginner's mind, no expectations, no attachment, just like totally going for it, and letting yourself try new things. This feels like the Sun-Uranus to me. This feels like really leaping into the unknown and trying something totally different. And the Fool also has these themes around faith and trust and knowing that you're going to be okay. This card also, I'm just noticing how there's like a little ladder here, and it almost looks like the figure sort of like crawled from the darkness up the ladder, and then they're going to walk off the cliff into the unknown. So that feels kind of interesting too. That's kind of like you're like going up, like it's kind of like you had to crawl up the ladder to get to this place where you're going to take the new beginning. And then the Four of Voices. This is the Four of Swords in other decks. This card is about rest. This card is about rest, relaxation, non-doing, and even meditation to a certain extent. And this card also really emphasizes that when you do nothing, the things become more clear. When you rest, your mind is rejuvenated, because this card is about resting for the mind. And so I'm like thinking about how sometimes we do things that are supposed to be relaxing, but when we are doing them, we're like thinking about things. So this card is encouraging you to find a way to rest your mind. Yes, rest your body as well, but it's like really emphasizing mental relaxation and sort of like being able to soften the analytical grip on things. Now, if I'm looking at this in like with all 3 cards all together, there's a lot here on surrender. There's a strong theme of not trying to figure it out. That doesn't necessarily mean don't do anything. So there's some kind of like mystery. There's something here that you're trying to figure out that is unfigureoutable. That it's like you're not going to think your way through this situation. And the way through this situation is to connect with your spirit, with your soul, with your spirit guides, with your benevolent ancestors, with Psyche. The way through is through the part of our brain that that connects with symbol and intuition. Now, another part of getting through this is leaping into the unknown, taking a risk and putting yourself out there. And that doesn't mean that you're not afraid or that that you're not taking care of yourself, but it means like being willing to try something totally new. And that either through doing that or part of that process is relaxing your mind, or like finding a way to get yourself into a, maybe not even a meditative space, but like an altered state of consciousness. This could also be dreams as well, but anything that takes your mind off of trying to think through things. It feels like trying something radically new is going to get you to this place of mental rest. So, I hope that is helpful. If this resonates with you, please let me know. And of course, if you resonate with me and my work, I would love to do an astrology reading for you. You can find out more about that on my website down below. Other offerings that I have, I teach a weekly yoga class. Other offerings that I have, I teach a weekly yoga class here in San Diego. And I have more stuff below on my website. So I am wishing you a wonderful week and filled with like lots of joy and ease and rest. I'll see you soon. Bye.